Chaos and utter human despair at Spain's doors. Scenes that fast became fuel for the far right and growing anti-immigration voices on both sides of the Atlantic. But behind these images lies a more complex reality, as we found on our journey to try to understand Europe's immigration debate and what drives so many to risk everything to get here.
We're in the middle of a sea of plastic, so vast it's visible from space. Greenhouses everywhere you look. This is Almeria in southern Spain. It is often described as Europe's vegetable garden because of this concentration of greenhouses. It produces millions of tons of fresh fruit and vegetables every year, enough to feed 500 million people. In the shadow of one of Europe's agricultural heartlands exists a darker side, rarely seen. Slums like this one that have been around for years, home to part of the massive African workforce helping feed this continent. In a scene of squalor in modern-day Europe, we find migrants from North and West Africa. In his previous life, Amoateng Foster was a math teacher in Ghana. 2 years ago, he left it all behind, saying he paid smugglers about $2,300 for a perilous journey through Libya and across the Mediterranean, eventually making it to Spain.
And I'm not going to recommend anybody to do so. Very dangerous.
He shows us around this rundown shack he shares with another worker.
So there's my place.
Amoateng's story is that of so many parents enduring these subhuman conditions, all for the future of his kids, he says, to save enough to put them through college.
A lot of people are saying we don't want any migrants, close the borders. I mean, how does it make you feel?
It become a little bit worried. Everything that they are doing here is farming. And the workers that they are using, all of us, we are immigrants. These white people, they can't do it. The government has saw the need that we are helping them, they are also helping us. It's a mutual benefit.
The Spanish economy relies on migrant workers so heavily that the government announced an amnesty in April, offering legal status to hundreds of thousands already in the country. Amoateng hopes being here legally would bring him rights and respect.
If you are outside the fence, you may think that it's rosary here. It's not rosary here. Look at the environment that we live in. But when you are outside, you may think that, oh, Europe is Europe. No. There's no roses here because you suffer before you can get a cent. Do you know how much they are giving us, how much they give us here? To work in this farm for 1 hour, they give you €5. This hot environment like this, you kneel down like this, work continuously, just like that, and they give you €5.
We get a glimpse into that grueling reality Amoateng described inside one of the countless greenhouses. These men spend hours delicately planting tomatoes. Their hard labor will soon fill the shelves of European supermarkets. In the sweltering summer heat, temperatures must remain constant in here.
We've been here for a few minutes, and this heat is intense. I'm sweating, and I can't begin to imagine what it's like for these guys working in these conditions, in this heat. Apparently it hit 44 degrees or 111 Fahrenheit earlier today. And they have to do this for hours and hours. The owner of this greenhouse told us he only hires documented workers and pays the legal minimum wage.
But across Almeria, you find so many who are undocumented, vulnerable to exploitation, some of it happening in plain sight. At roundabouts and street corners, they wait to be picked up for off-the-book jobs that pay well below the minimum wage. Off-camera, business owners told us they pay what they can afford to still make a profit. The arrival of foreign labor helped revive a region that was once in decline. All around here, you find thriving migrant communities that have left their mark on this place. And the far right has seized on that. In suburbs like La Cañada that overwhelmingly voted for the populist radical right party Vox in the last election, we find pensioners echoing the rhetoric of these parties. If they can work and have papers, great. The rest is an invasion, they tell us. They are people who don't want to integrate. It's a narrative that's been gaining traction across Europe, fears of demographic change and migrants being blamed for the rise in the cost of living. Scattered graffiti hints at brewing tensions. This one reads, "No Muslims, no NGOs." Perhaps a message for the groups on the front line of this crisis, like the Mercedarian Sisters of Charity. The calls for help to this Catholic NGO helping migrants get back on their feet seem non-stop during our visit.
No, lo siento, chico.
Sister Francisca turned 80 this month, but there's no rest for this woman on a mission.
Lo más normal que nos piden es un bocadillo, nos dicen tengo hambre.
So they come saying, we're hungry,
Claro.
we want a sandwich.
Vienen aquí a pedir algo de comer.
At their food distribution center, the hungry queue for donations from local supermarkets. Amal tells us she hasn't eaten today. Sometimes she doesn't have money to buy water and bread. She had to leave her 6- and 4-year-old children in Morocco, she tells us, and came here on a contract to pick strawberries. After a dispute with her employer, she found herself on the street begging for any work. It was poverty that brought me here, she says. If I had something back home, I wouldn't have come. Sister Francisca remembers a time when there were no migrants here. Then the greenhouses came. The road to a better life has led so many to this miserable place. It is in this land of plastic and shattered dreams where Europe's paradox is laid bare. Jumana Karache, CNN, Almeria, Spain.
And now returning to Ceuta, the Spanish government says that it will set up temporary tents there to host 1,500 people, though it is unclear as to what will happen to the remaining migrants in the city or how long the situation will last, leaving many people in limbo. Frustration is also growing among residents of the North African enclave as local health services are reportedly overwhelmed. And Ceuta's mayor accuses the Spanish government of almost total passivity, threatening to sue if this influx isn't resolved within 30 days. To help us unpack all of this is former Spanish ambassador to the EU, Pablo Garcia Berdoy, who joins me now from Malaga. Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us. You were Spain's ambassador to the EU for 5 years, so that overlapped with the 2021 Ceuta crisis when 12,000 people crossed over. This time we know the number was 6 times almost larger than that was. So my question to you is, was the EU's response to this proportionate to scale? How do you think they performed?
Well, at that time in 2021, I think the solidarity of the EU was complete. And we were able to develop a common narrative to just break the idea that there was an invasion of a particular city, but it was an attack to a European territory. And that was very clear to our neighbors and friends.
Spain, we should note, took in more than 3 million migrants between 2021 and 2023. That is the largest influx in its history. The Bank of Spain actually credits immigration for a quarter of the per capita GDP growth over that period of time. Spain's economy has outperformed that of Germany, France, and the UK since the pandemic, which leads to the question of whether Spain is running a more successful and streamlined immigration process than its European neighbors, and if so, can that be replicated?
Well, let's put it this way. There is an element there that is very important. I was ambassador in Romania, for instance, and when I arrived to Romania in 2004, there were less than 40,000 Romanians living in Spain. When I left, there were 1 million Romanians living in Spain. And there was a very successful integration process that still is a very active part of the society. Then what has happened, probably due to the growth of the Spanish economy, but also to these new waves of migration, is that migrants come in big numbers. Some irregular migrants come and have been, the process of regularization has been starting very strongly in 2026, but the GDP per capita is not growing at the same pace, meaning the GDP growth of Spain has been growing, the numbers of inhabitants have been growing, but that also means that the GDP per capita is not growing at the same pace.